And what a day it has been already, with the market rocking to the downside today. But there were some great long trades for sure. I did talk about BitW. You guys have heard me talk about that for a couple of days, that has a projected target for me up to 110. So seeing that, I'm getting excited for this. It is on the move. I did take a little bit of profit since already up a little bit. I like to go ahead and take a little bit off, and then now no matter what, I'm positive on the trade even if it pulls back to my entry. So let's get into the market, and let me just tweet this out. Hello, Bat Scientist, how are you doing today? And let's tweet this out over here. I am not going to lie, I've got a nice big cup of coffee today. Oh, I needed my coffee. It's been a long day with the little kiddos. It's crazy that they sometimes just, oh my goodness, they suck the energy out of you. They are so much fun, but at the same time, they can really, really drain you. So had to get my coffee in before I came. So that's why I was a little bit later today. And let's share this over here. Just going to share it as well on LinkedIn. And let's pull up the stock charts. Let's see, over here and right here. Dun, da, da, da. And you will see this. Let's hide that. There we go. Awesome. Okay, so we have FUTU there. Did look at the SPY, mentioned, hey, we're hitting this level from the past. Would not think that a pullback would be abnormal. Sure enough, did we get that pullback? Why, yes, we did. And looking at that, we also see on the 15-minute chart over here, we came down and we're testing that 425. When we look at it on the 45-minute chart, you will know that I love to watch it on the 45-minute chart as well. And so looking at this, we see that we hit almost the 200 simple moving average on the 45-minute chart. So liking that aspect of the bounce move right here. However, when we look at it on the bigger picture, on the 24 hours, right, we have this sort of price action that happened. We shot up for one day above, and I would look for it to hold that 390 level. If we do not hold that 390 level, it's time to likely wear our bear hats. Now, we had the impeachment trial. Trump was acquitted. Now we have Trump coming out politically and saying, hey, what's going on with McConnell? All this sort of stuff. Still almost talking as if he still had that presidential role, right? He's still imposing his opinions on the U.S., not trying to get political, but just noting that once that was done, once the trial was done, as any person under investigation for a lawsuit, you would likely want to see them to be quiet so they don't say anything else that could further incriminate themselves. So now that that's done, watch out. We might be hearing more from Trump. Also, the Fed has been pretty crazy today, talking about what's going to happen with interest rates, everything like that. We also have the FOMC minutes from January's meeting being released at 2 o'clock today, so be prepared for that. When we look back at, what day was FOMC? 3 weeks ago? Hold on, let's do it really quick. So we are the 17th, 1, 2, 3, the 27th. What happened on the 27th? We might have a similar reaction over here. So this is the 27th. We had a drop. Seeing that we had a drop during FOMC, we might have that drop continuation today. I would look for 385 as a potential target to the downside. If we do break down below that, hey Julio, hi Arky, that I would look, if we break down below 390, I would look at that 385 level as a potential for us to bounce off of when we break down from 390, which we're getting close, right? We're at 390.65. Yeah, and when we look at the VIX or VXX, you can see that we did go sideways for a long period of time, And we had this downward trend that they came back and they almost tested it. The highest volume though was right here. So I'd look to see, all right, if we go above 1675 with a close right there, likely a big move, right? This could still be positioning. They could be taking it down to buy in, to simply squeeze the shorts. We see that they definitely do set up bear traps as well on the way up. So where we close today will be influential, but we do have those FOMC minute notes coming out at 2 o'clock, so keep that in mind. Level is 38.94 for bounce and 39.18. It accelerates upwards. Yeah. All right, let's also check out the Qs. So it's not a surprise that we see all of the indexes that are down today. XLF, interestingly enough, financials is up. And we see same sort of scenario. We came to a support area of 330 on the Qs and we bounced. So we tested that over here on the 10th, which would be last Wednesday as well. So we had 5 days, come back, test it again. If we break below that, yes. Options, are you talking about futures, Julio, for the options, futures expiration? Or just simply talking there? I mean, SPY has options 3 days a week, so I'm assuming you're talking about futures options. And I would look for down here, same scenario, 328. So we're not as far away on the Qs. Morning, that's it. IWM, which was super strong, we came down. I would look for the Qs, IWM to come down potentially to 216 over here for the SPY. Yeah. And then Dow Jones, look, we're flat on the day. We're still up above over here. We came down, we tested this trend line, bounced up, potentially coming back down to 312.30 area, seeing if we can hold that as a support and then bounce and continue upwards right there. All right, on my list today, well, let's look over some of the majors as well. So Amazon in this wedge, moving to the upside today on the 45-minute chart. Looks like it really needs to clear 33.20 for this to really continue to move to the upside on that shorter term time frame. You can see we sort of have a ribbon of the moving averages. GSAT, yeah, we'll put GSAT on for you. I did trade one off of my list today. It was a potential short and rocked it to the upside. So it's on the beat. Awesome. We'll check it out. Microsoft as well. So I mentioned this before, we seem like we're somewhat rotating. We might come back down. You guys know I like to watch that 425 on my 45-minute chart right here as a support. If the SPY drops and UXX closes, breaks above 10, go long UVXY in the short term. UVXY is currently the most actively traded ETF with super affordable options. Thank you, Bat Scientist. That was from Bat Scientist. That is not me making that recommendation, just an FYI, reading the chat from the chat. Hello, South. Welcome. Good afternoon. If you guys like the live stream, a quick reminder, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on those notifications so you do receive the notifications when I go live. Also, if you'd like to contribute and you'd like to buy me a coffee, I definitely can use it as a mom of two. There's a link to buy me a coffee downstairs. I almost said, see, I really need it. All right. So Microsoft looks like we might be setting up for a rounded top. How long is it going to hold up here? We do have dividends today, 56 cents. So if we close lower than 56 cents, likely some weakness on Microsoft. Would look for that to continue back down to the downside. Apple as well, testing that 130 level. Right now, like I said, I would look for 128.50. We have started to curl down. We have a bit of an H right here, and we have that support really back here too, 126.50. We broke the 50 simple moving average today. Looking to see if we can regain at the end of the day. Maybe this is where they want to take it, middle of the day, load up on everything, and then potentially come up here and test again. We had the left shoulder right here, head, and is this the right shoulder curling down? Potentially. Otherwise, we might see that we have another bounce up and then curl all the way back down. All right, Tesla today, definitely showing some weakness. We did hit that 50 simple moving average. So if we bounce here, we're below, right? We're below this M scenario. where we close today will make a difference for me. If we close up on the day, up from the close of yesterday, hey, I would actually be inclined to go long right here, seeing that we would have a lot of buying pressure at the bottom. Not sure what's happening with the dark pool activity at the moment, but you can see we did have a higher volume spike right at open. We had that big volume right here as we dropped down from 8. We dropped down below the 200 simple moving average on the 45-minute chart, and we had that massive volume. Hello, H. CCIV seems to be hanging in there. Glad I still held on to some of my shares. Aloha. Oh, are you in Hawaii? Right. Amarin could be interesting to buy at 6. We'll set that up. We'll look at those two, CCIV and Amarin. I do have a student at 2 o'clock, so we can't talk too long today. All right. Even though it's only 12:30, I don't think we'll go an extra hour and a half. All right, so VUSI today, nice short when it broke down from 1780. If you guys are new to my channel, I do provide the SPY, Q, and then the top 5 here. So VUSI, FinV, Load, AQMS, and BP were all on my trade alerts with Ticker Talker, and we're also a partner with Webull. You did hear Julio talking about the dark pools as well. I do also help educate people about the dark pools in the training pit. So if you want to learn about that, come over to thedarkpools.com and you can learn about the trading around the dark pools, which is where the really big hedge fund guys place their trades. All right. Also, FINZV. See, I swear I need that coffee today. Coming down. Once we broke below 780, a nice drop down to 708, almost 80 cents, or 10% move to the downside if you capitalized on that in the first 15 minutes. Let's put on a 5-minute chart, a little easier to see. And look at where we happened to stop. Look at where we're testing again right now. If this does hold, we might see that we bounce and move to the upside. All right, LODE today. This one was a little lower float and really didn't provide too much of a trade either direction, just a little bit at open if you'd already been in it though, pre-market, because it opened up above. So really not a trade on LODE. That's okay, there's other ones to check out. AQMS, another one that provided a little bit of a short right here, roughly after at 11 o'clock to the downside here, bounce. Would see if this is going to continue to reject this $7 level. If it does, that would be my lower risk entry, such as a move like this, right? And then continuation like that. If you guys have ever studied Elliott wave theory, it's almost that corrective wave right there for the second wave or third wave. If we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, we might have a bigger 5th wave to come. All right, BP. Well, the big what's it called? Oil production plant closed down in Texas because they were dealing with the weather. And we had massive volume yesterday. We did open up, well, we went up higher pre-market. So my level to the long side was much higher, and then we broke down this morning. So it did provide a nice short trade right off the bat, and again, a secondary one right here. If you'd been watching it and you saw this nice candlestick, a little gravestone doji right there with higher than normal volume from the prior candle, hey, you could ride it right on down, right? And we also hit the 50 simple moving average on the 5-minute chart there. EH. This is one I got into pre-market. You can see I have my levels right there on my fibs. All right, doesn't want to delete them. I see what's going on. There we go. Thoughts on Apple, please? Yeah, you know what, Nicholas, I already did Apple. Looking to see if it can bounce a little bit today and close up above that 50 simple moving average on Apple. So EH today, I got into this long at $50 when it broke that $50 mark, and I set a sell order early. I was trying not to be greedy. I said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and take 5%. So I took it off at $52.50. Man, I could have made 50%. on a $50 stock, which is kind of crazy. But it did have a nice short squeeze right on up to 75, roughly that 200 simple moving average on the 5-minute chart, came back, hit the 21, and now we're hitting that 200. Are we going to fail here from the 20, come back down to the 50, or break out up above? It looks like it almost wants to break out, but we need to see that higher volume. Confirmation to me would be when we break above $68, a little triangle setup on this smaller time frame here that could end up in a bigger short squeeze as well. Too much bag holders on EH. Potentially, but if you come back here, Archie, you can see that the reason why I got in was because it held above this point and the 50 simple moving average on the daily chart. So it did have a big correction. I have no idea why. I was looking at it simply technically. It was bouncing off of that 50 simple moving average on the 24-hour chart. Some volume came into it, and it was starting to hold support. And so that's how I got into it. No idea what caused this drop yesterday. It was a correction, though. If you look at it, right, and we do this, low risk, right? We came back down to that shallow trend. It had gone parabolic before, come into that shallow trend. Now it's a bit extended away again. Back down here, $49.30, $15 up above. We could see that this easily comes back down, maybe back down to the $54 mark, and then moves to the upside. It's still a little extended away from right here, but there was an amazing potential for a dead cat bounce. If anyone's curious, that would be a dead cat bounce where it comes back up, finds a new low right here, and now it's just riding that moving average up. All right, NEO as well today. NEO, nice short trade. We've been watching this for a while now and looking to see, is this going to break down below 56, or is that where the big guys are going to buy in? We came down to 55.90, and you can see here right at 56, buying, 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 buying. Let's see really quickly. I was watching a socket today too. Let's look at NEO and see, oh my goodness, 193,000 at $56. Let's watch that level. So 193,000 right there at 56. We have what looks to be a consolidation type range right here, that it's just sort of traded in there. It did shoot up, came back, and if you measure the depth here, 56 to 59.66, 59.60, $3.60. Okay, we add $3.60. It brings us up to 63.20, roughly, right up here. So that would make sense that that was the breakout. Now we're coming back. Are we going to hold within this box, or are we going to break down below? Yeah, I'll add on PLTR and Astrazeneca. Oh, if you guys want to join me tomorrow, I have it on my Twitter that I am going to be part of a Women in Trading event with Samantha Leduc. So hold on 2 seconds. I'm just going to pull it up so you guys can see it. If you're interested in joining me tomorrow, here it is. Let me pull it over right here. At 4 p.m., we'll be talking all about trading, pretty much. So a podcast that I am on tomorrow. And Novavax. Novavax is also lower float, Julio, than Astrazeneca. So in looking at them, I would say Novavax would probably have the potential to move more quickly, simply because it does have lower float to it. All right, let's continue with FUTU. That was on my short list as well today, and provided an opportunity in both directions. Gotta love it when that happens. So it had a bit of a breakout this morning, and then it pulled back, and a nice reversal candlestick. I can't talk today. With higher volume bouncing off of that 425 EMA. And it looks almost like an inverted head and shoulders right here, 177.74, neckline up here, and then a head and the neckline. So if we break up above 150, I would say, I'd measure it from down here, $6, 181.50. I'd look for 187.50 area up here to the upside. And it looks like here we go. We might be seeing that happen. Tilray as well today. The cannabis sector got a little hit and pulled back a little bit, but this provided just a little bit of short opportunity to the downside right at open and then in the middle of the day. All right, let's check out GSAT. So GSAT, let's look at it on the, I also wanted to talk about Bitcoin. I'm going to go to GSAT in just a second. Bitcoin, BitW. You guys know I mentioned this in the past. I am looking for this to go to 110. I have been in this since back here, so I'm not getting into it anytime soon. I've been in it for a while, but really like this setup also with Bitcoin. This does have Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some other crypto stocks or crypto in there as well. The volume is dropping, but it's setting up for a bit of a short squeeze, and it does have 3 million in the float, so this could really run. All right, let's go back to GSAT. So GSAT on the daily, it looks like, yeah, right here we have a bit of consolidation and then it shot up, a bit of correction here and then it shot up, and we have another bit of consolidation. I see selling at 250. If it's able to close above 250, likely a bigger move to the upside, has a little bit higher volume than the day prior, a bit of a correction right there, and it did bounce off the 4. I would look that if this closed below or pulled back below 218, that would be my exit. So it could be positioning for a bigger move to the upside or downside right now. It's just sort of trading sideways for a couple days. And the next move, also keep in mind that there is earnings coming up on the 25th, so that would be next Thursday. So keep that in mind, just about 6 days away. All right, CCIV, let's see. CCIV back with that parabolic movement again. And when we look at it, it looks a bit extended to me. So let's look at the 45-minute chart right here. This line is all the way back here, 32. I would watch to see on the shorter time frame, we have this trend, right? It came, bounced, came. Is it going to hold this 20 simple moving average at 52.28? If it didn't, no thanks. I don't think I would want to be long that because I think it would likely correct a little bit. And you can see that we have this sort of area, excuse me, let's put that there, that it might come back down to the $46 mark fairly quickly, a $6 move to the downside if it broke down below. Now, if it did bounce off of the 20 simple moving average and continue back to the upside, you could see a potential move up further. However, it looks as if this might be ready. The volume is dropping on that 45-minute chart. You can see it was big here, even bigger, and now it's slowing down. So it looks as if this is ready for a drop to the downside, in my opinion. All right, clean up these trend lines here. When I leave too many drawings on the charts, the program does not like it. All right, so Amarin bouncing off of the 425. Who gave me this one? Salve. Nice. Interesting. I like that it's holding this 425. It's also holding the 21 over here. Yes, if this could break above 8, I agree. I think Amarin, if it breaks above 8, we might see that there might be a nice move. If we eliminate sort of the, let's go here to the green candles or the up candles, it would need to break out from this downward trend. You see how this was support, support, boom, it's resistance, resistance. Are we going to break out from this sort of descending triangle using the 425 EMA and break out to the upside? I would look for a target of 822 if it broke 780, so just about 42 cents. If it broke up from there, bigger move, 850, and then on up to $9. Thanks. So, not serious face. All right, PLTR as well. PLTR bouncing off of that 50 simple moving average. So much for the same reason that EH was looking good as holding and bouncing off of that 50 simple moving average. PLTR looks good for that reason. I would look for a close above. It did have 10 cents. surprise to the downside. However, the forward guidance is going to be what's really important. We can readjust this over here to 2760, and I would, oops, I don't want to move that trend line. I would move this and tighten this to 2950. Break up above 2950, likely a move up to 30, and then potentially back on up to 3140 over here, 31 and 3140 on PLTR. It does look like there's bigger volume after earnings down here. You can see, do not ignore the volume at the bottom. You know, one of the students that I've been working with, he's not good at reading the level 2. That's okay. If you're not good at reading the level 2, you know, potentially go down even to a 2-minute time frame. Oh my goodness, look, do you see? We just had massive volume right here. All right, what is the high of this candlestick? 29.73. If we go above 29.73, I would deduce that that's buying volume. If we go below, I would deduce the low of this candlestick is 27.67. So I would say, hey, are we going below that? Then it was likely selling volume, and I would follow that volume on the shorter time frame. Much like if you see it on a daily chart, like this one right here. Hey, we bounced. There was some buying pressure at the end of the day, and now we're up $1.25. Maybe that was buying at the end of the day. So look and watch this, even if you have to. Hey, let's go down to a 1-minute chart. Okay, crazy volume right here, more volume, it's dropping, it's dropping, it's dropping, and you see that we are reversing as well. Yeah. Well, here's the low of 27.67. Are we going to break that right now? Easier to see when I spread it out as well. So here, are we going to break below? Hey, then that was probably selling, selling, selling. And right, as I said, I put that up there, 29.50. That was resistance in the past. It looks as if potentially some people jumped in. Let's go over here and even see. Did we have anything that came in at the same time at that level? 28.75. This is today. 525,000 at 28.75. Okay, that's below us. Anything? 29.50. 36,000 at 12.46. There you go. There was the big volume. Oh, and what was the price? 29.50. So look for that price to break above 29.50. Right? All right, let's look at Astrazeneca. And we'll put this back to a 5-minute chart. So Astrazeneca looks as if it's setting up a little bit for a cup and handle over here on the 24-hour chart. So in measuring it out, let's look here to $2.15. All right, if we close above 51.70, I would look for 59.25 as my potential, 53.85. Totally off on that one. And we'll look at what happens to be up there. Coincidentally, the 200 simple moving average on the 24-hour chart. Gotta love when the targets of the moving averages and the mathematical equations of figuring out targets just all align. All right, we've got a bunch of people watching. Make sure you hit that like button. That way I can help more people. The YouTube algorithm will share it with more people when you guys like it and comment as well. So Novavax. All right, so Julio is talking about Novavax is doing better. Also, Novavax, as I mentioned, has less in the float, 63 million. And let's go to AstraZeneca. I think we're looking at like 1.6 billion for AstraZeneca. Oh, sorry, 2.6 billion. My numbers were off there. But when we look at that, Novavax has that potential to have a wild, crazy run to it. And oops, I remember when I told my dad, hey, take some profit over here at 280, and then it pulled back. All right, so right here, you can see that 280 level set up as a resistance and then a support. Hey, we broke it. Is it going to be another resistance area? And then we're going to break down further, and we will have a head and shoulders set up on Novavax. So if we look at it, 253 area to 280. I would be in a holding pattern right now, or if I were to go long, get in. Hello, Walter. Welcome. Then I would look for that breakout above 280. You can see we have a bit of a descending volume right here as well. So that would be the failed right shoulder breakout and then move to the upside. All right, and Mara, SNDL. Yeah, we'll look at Mara and we'll look at Riot. So SNDL, you can see I had some levels on there, old levels, and it definitely pulled back. These ones that go parabolic, they do not stay parabolic for very long. Many times they do correct and pull back down. So this sort of price action, totally normal. Would this be an area to get in? Well, look, if it came back to 167, it's following that slower rate of growth with that trend line. So I'd say, hey, potentially 167 is where I would like to get in. We do have volume dropping, but that's an area that could be more reasonable rather than getting in at $354 up here. All right, and let's look at Mara. So Mara, again, moving to the upside. I did do a shout out on Mara with Angela Miles last Thursday, heading up to 46.50. Now, where do I think it could go from here? Let's see. We've got this selling wick up at the top. It came up and it really hit the $50 mark. So on the shorter time frame, do you all see that we have this descending price action right here, right? So it would need to really break out. Look at all these. It's so much fun when they're moving while I'm talking. And it would really need to break out over here above 46.50, in my opinion, and then squeeze those shorts to the upside. It did pull back down almost to this quite parabolic move to the upside, this trend line. This angle is fairly high. It could pull back down to 30.80, right? It's going to depend on what happens with Bitcoin. We saw that it did hit 50,000, right? It hit 50,000. Let's look at it on the daily chart. And now we're up at 51,000. Where could we potentially go from here? Well, we have a little move here, and then we shot up. And we finally broke above the four-number high back here. All right, let's move it to this area. So as long as we hold support of 46,000, which also happens to be somewhat that, let's see here. Let's go back. I want to go back in time. It looks like it's been, could be that it's broken out. Yeah, today we broke out of this ascending wedge right here. So if we measure the depth, 31,048. I'm going to do it over here. It'll be much easier. What's loud, James? So 10,500. I would look for a target up roughly 59,000 for Bitcoin. That would be my next high that I would be looking at for Bitcoin. So a gain of roughly 20% from where we are right now to the upside. So correspondingly, if we look at Mara, all right, could we go from here? Hey, maybe we'll be heading on up to 54, another 20% there. Or if we look at Riot, since they tend to trade symbiotically, all right, we're looking at maybe up to $85 for Riot up here. You can see we did break out, same thing from that wedge. Oh, yeah, James, it's probably just on your end. So do you guys have any other stocks? Okay, you want to check out VBIV? Put the stocks that you'd like to see in the chat. All right, VBIV. I don't think I'm really shouting. You can see it had a bit of resistance right over here at 430, 450. Every time that it's hit that, it's sold off. And then we have this ascending wedge upward trend right here. So maybe it's going to pull back to 338 or roughly that 50 simple moving average and then bounce up. Also has earnings coming up, so not sure where it will go from here. But it does look like it is in that downward price action. Hey Mark, how's it going? BSX? Sure. Mark, what do you think about those passports? The vaccine passports. We had Jonathan on up here yesterday. He was saying that he thinks that it's a good idea, just out of curiosity, because I saw in the news that they really wanted people to, they wanted to start the vaccine. Yeah. So it looks as if BSX is in that downward price action and could potentially come back down to the 50 simple moving average here. Look at how it really has used the 50 as support in the past. We have some moving averages right here, but it's in the downward price action. We're bouncing off of the 20. The 20 as well was resistance and then moved to the upside. Oh, you know what? Pixel Shubser, I already did Tesla. I did it earlier in the beginning. All right. And let's look at Fox A. So Fox A, let's see, let's adjust these over here. You can see how a lot of them have been bouncing off of that 50 simple moving average. So I'm seeing a little bit of an ascending wedge. Hey, we had a major squeeze January 26th that shot up, came back down to reality. So I'm just sort of going to ignore that crazy price action there. You can see once it broke up here as well, it had that crazy squeeze move as well. So looking for this to hold roughly 30.60 or break out up above 32.69. All right. So I'm going to wrap it up for today. I thank you all for joining me. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. Vaccine passports will be essential, but the skeptic in me sees this as another control ploy, government in UK pursuing the idea. Yeah, I think forcing anybody, in my personal opinion, forcing somebody to get a vaccine when it's your own body, that's not really a fair choice. That's a liberty that's taken away. Personally, that's my viewpoint. So have an amazing day. Carpe profit. Seize those profits one trade at a time. If you ever have questions, please feel free to email me at jane@cjanetrade.com. Definitely accessible. You know, I call out everybody that joins me on the live stream, so don't feel shy to also share and contribute as well. It is a little bit of a community that we have here around noon every day talking about the market. So have an amazing day, and I will see you all tomorrow, 12:30 tomorrow, because I do have a media spot at 12:15. So 12:30 Eastern tomorrow. I will see you all. Have an amazing day, and Carpe Profit. Seize those profits one